Welcome to 23 Degrees Sideways. As you can see, the color of my skin is white. My ancestry is predominantly Northern or Western European. That's a problem. That singles me out for retribution, distrust, punishment, and all sorts of negatives. Now, I grew up as part of Generation X. As I have said before, I am the core of Generation X. I am the peak of Generation X. I was a sophomore when the ultimate sophomore movie, The Breakfast Club, came out. I am exactly the ideal pinnacle of Generation X. I also was raised completely colorblind. Now, I admit that part of that had to do with being in a military family, and the military has always been ahead of the curve in integration for various reasons, okay? Sometimes those reasons have to deal with, like, having to rely on each other to stay alive. Sometimes it has to do with legislation. There's a whole lot of factors in there. Quite often it has to do with war brides, okay? It's really hard to be racist when your kids are half Japanese, half Korean, half Filipino, half Moroccan. You know, there's a lot going on there. So, I mean, there's types of racism, okay? You ask Koreans what they think about African Americans and you'll get an earful, right? Racism exists. I'm not denying that. But I was raised in the generation of colorblindness. We did not care what the color of your skin was. Do you like U2 or do you like Iron Maiden? Like, important questions here. Are you going to the concert with me? Great. I don't care what your color of your skin is, right? No one cares. You know, what role-playing game do you like? Are you a D&D guy or are you a Twilight 2000 guy? Like, important questions here. That was it. Of course, we live in a much more racist time now. Thank you, Generation Y and Zoomers. Thank you very, very much for giving us that level of racism back. You've done a great job for humanity right there. So, growing up in the 80s, I'm a huge fan of Southwestern mythology. Coyote myths, the magic and the wonder of the Southwest. There's just tons of stuff in the Southwest, North America. Mythology, folk traditions, everything. Huge fan of it. You know, I moved around the world with the Navy, and I am a huge fan and collector of folk traditions everywhere. I love folkism. Folkish traditions. But pretty much globally, okay? I can get into Mongolian folkism just as easily as I can get into the Dene or whatever. And now, you know, I'm told that that's bad. I don't speak much of any of the languages, but I can generally say hello, ask for something, try to be polite. And some of the languages are just very difficult. There's a very different worldview, okay? It's one of the things you'll look at when you get with Southwestern tribes. The descriptions of time are different. It's a very magnificently different view as opposed to the linear cause and effect time thing that we have with the Calvinist West. But if I say these things, you know, first of all, right now at this point, if you're under the age of 40 and you are Navajo, you probably don't know how to say hello. You know, you don't know how to say, hey, I'm a stranger here. You don't. So if I say this, you're like, huh? Which, of course, is going to lead to negative feelings because then I have shown you up or something, right? I'm just trying to be polite. But my ability to know a few words is cultural appropriation and is evil and is horrible. Let's extend this a little bit. Let's go a little bit further afield. Okay. Big fan of shamanic traditions. There's a lot going on with Northern Eurasian shamanism in the pre-Roman Empire phase, and even through the Roman Empire. But Roman Empire is where we first start to get Christianity spreading and other what we call axial age, post-axial religions spreading. And so I'm really a fan of the shamanism. And you know, there's absolutely no doubt I have Cossack blood, I have Asian blood in me. There's no, you know, I'm probably as much Mongol as I am Neanderthal, at least, right? Whatever, don't care. But I look white, and I am white. I'm basically European. Which means that now, folkism gets twisted a little bit, okay? I know a lot of people who are very, very racially oriented in their folkism. Folkish, at this point, means roughly some version of white separatist, or white racial identity, or ethnic identity, okay? European ethnic identity. And that's not necessarily racist. You know, it isn't. There are plenty of people who have a strong feeling of their ethnicity without being racist. You can do that without telling someone else they're subhuman, okay? It's not a necessary component. But there is a lot of that with the European folk movements. Absolutely, there's a lot of it. There's no doubt that there's a lot of it. There's no denying it, okay? I tend to avoid that. Here's the problem. Right now, the left, broadly speaking, the left, it's not driven by the majority of the left, but the majority of the left goes along with it, supports it, and justifies it, makes excuses, rationalizes it. So the left as a whole is making it a situation. So Biden here just came out with a speech about how he's going to finally provide aid for small businesses because Trump wouldn't do it, which is like head desky level stupid and incorrect. But so he's going to provide aid for small businesses as long as they're owned by black people, Latin Americans, American Indians, or women. He's left out the Asians because Asians are now white, and he's left out the white people, and he's saying that this is a message of inclusivity, and it's not. The left is, broadly speaking, making it a point of no one should engage in business with me. I am a white, heterosexual male and father of children. Therefore, I should be barred from business. So who's left? Who's left to buy my stuff? Stay sideways.